Hello and welcome to another edition of Full Follow with me today. I am Austin Hill. How are you doing, Austin?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
So, Austin, my first question is, I saw the pictures you sent me, and how long you been doing road course racing?
So, let's see, I started racing in general when I was 7 in quarter midgets, and then we started doing road go-karts when I was 12 years old. And then in late when I like 13 years and 8 months old, probably or so, we started doing cars for road courses and formula cars. And obviously now I'm 18, so we've been doing it for almost 5 years in cars on road courses, but 6, 7 years in general.
So, what what do you like about that type of racing? Because it's different, it's fun for you, it sounds like. But what does Austin like about that type of racing?
So for me, road course racing is more challenging, I guess. I've done ovals in previous years. When I first started, that's what I did. Um, I always, I guess, found road course when I got into road courses. It was like, I guess, a switch that flicked there that switched for me. I guess I just liked it more. The first road course race we did in go karts, we won. And that wasn't uncommon for me at any point. It still isn't uncommon for me to win, but it's just, I guess, I had so much more fun doing that than what I had previously done in my racing career to that point that, I wanted to keep going down that path. And, everyone, even in go karts, always said that if you can be fast on a road course, you can be fast on a dirt track or an oval because, you know, you're hitting the same lines every lap, but with a bunch of different corners. So, you're doing it with 10 to 20 corners and you're hitting the same line every time, you're being consistent, whereas on an oval, you're hitting four corners in theory, really two corners, is of how the track's laid up, but I guess you're not doing as many corners and you're not going left and right, but yet you're in road course racing. I guess you're making yourself more consistent and able to hit that same line every time. So I've always found that more fun and challenging, and it's always, I guess, interesting to see that on like a 4 mile track with a Spec MX5 car, the top 20 will be within half a second of each other in qualifying times. But then you go to a dirt track that's, a quarter mile and, they're 5 tenths off between the top, 10. And you think, wow, how precise do those drivers have to be that close on that big of a circuit?
Yeah. So, Austin, I asked all my guesses, and so do you have any guy who could go left and right in a NASCAR race car?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? My internet's glitching out a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have any desire to compete in NASCAR on the road course? Or who's your favorite NASCAR driver?
I mean, I'll be competing in August with NASCAR Xfinity Series. I've always watched Kyle Larson, I guess. He's one of the best drivers out there, or is the best driver out there, right now, as far as an overall driver. He can go dirt racing, he can go NASCAR racing, he can go late model racing, and you see him succeed at just about anything he does. Um, so for me, I've always kind of looked up to him as far as, being an all around great driver, not just like, okay, he's great at super speedways or okay, he's great at dirt driving. he's pretty great um, all the way around or in general as a driver.
That's awesome. So let's dive into your NASCAR score on the road course. Are you looking forward to that? Who's that with?
Yeah, so obviously we're looking forward to that race. It's going to be amazing. Going to have a lot of people out there supporting me. We've been taught. I'm racing with Joey Gay's Motorsports. We still don't know which car I'm going to drive for him, whether it's going to be the 53 or the 35. But we're ready for it. This is what we've worked for since I was young and started driving. We've always wanted to, your goal usually when you start racing is obviously make it in racing, make it your career. So to get to this point is obviously a huge step for me and for my team. Tracy Stevens and my dad and Andy Hill and my mom, Lisa Hill, you know, I guess we've traveled, a lot of the country trying to make a go at making this my career. And so getting to this step is something, 99% of the people that start racing can never even think about accomplishing.
Yeah. So talk talk to me about what it means to you, because obviously you're a road course racer. So that NASCAR Scott is walking Glen. If if uh if I'm mistaken, please tell me if I'm not, but I believe you would be racing Watkins Glen. Is that your race in August?
Yeah, so Watkins Glen is going to be our first race in August, which is actually the track I'm at now. We have the Corvette for Trans Am, which is actually above my head. We just practiced that all day today here at Watkins Glen, and then hopefully we're gonna have a TA2 car here tomorrow from one of our close racing friends that's going to bring it to let me test it out a little bit tomorrow. As most people would say the TA2 car is one of the closest cars you can get to an Xfinity car. So for us as a team, obviously that's the best thing to go after right now before August hits to try to get not only track time on the track. Like today was my first day ever actually seeing Watkins Glen because you have to be 18 to drive here. So being able to get that track time today, being able to get that track time tomorrow is going to be very beneficial to me and to the team. But it also kind of gives me a baseline as far as driving this TA2 car tomorrow as to what maybe the Xfinity car should react to a little bit as far as horsepower and the downforce a little bit more in this TA2 car, I do believe. So it'll give me just a little bit of a feeling how the car should feel in a sense.
Uh, oh, Aggie. So tell me, Austin, how big support is your family in racing for you?
My family is definitely my biggest supporters. Between them and Tracy Stevens, which is like my third grandpa, he's been with me since I started racing. He's the one that got me into go-karts. He's been my crew chief all the way through everything. He built the Corvette. Basically, we bought the car, and there was a couple things wrong with it, and realistically he kind of took the initiative to tear it all the way down to the frame, build it all the way back up so that we know it's right. We know it's what we want. We know it's going to be competitive. So between him, my dad especially too, he drives me to all my races and our big semi and everything. And he does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff too because I'm in school. And then, my mom usually sacrifices herself to stay back to um, run our, keep track, keep on top of our house. Keep on track. We have a business to keep on top of that. And then, my family, they come out and support me every time they can. Mid Ohio, 90% of my family was there. All the ones that could make it were there. And, the town of yeah, the village of Frankfort, Ohio, where I've grown up, has come out to support me a lot too. I've done car shows down there and stuff for them. It's very cool to see all the support I can get from my local community. But yeah, my family is definitely my biggest supporters.
Yeah, so who who do you think is your biggest supporter beyond your family?
Beyond my family would definitely be Tracy Stevens and his family. Tracy realistically has given up his garage probably for the past 4 or 5 years to nothing but my racing program. We always have, I guess, the idea that the more cars you can drive, the better off as a driver you'll be. So, even if we had a car that we necessarily weren't going to race, we'd still build it to go testing on or to learn something from for when we do build one for ourselves. So Tracy's definitely the biggest outside of family supporter, and his wife as well too. She comes to my races as well whenever she can, and she treats me like her own grandchild. So I can't thank them enough.
So, Austin, so tell t tell me a little bit about how the Xfinity start came to happen for you.
Yeah, so about probably honestly probably August of last year, I got a hold of a couple different NASCAR teams about maybe doing a test day truly with them just to see if the Xfinity ride was something I, would like to do if I liked the car, if I was good in the car, things like that. But we never really got a date to work with Joey or anyone. Just because NASCAR is very limited to what they can do as far as test days and things like that. But then February, the NASCAR raced at Coda in Texas, and Joey Gaze obviously he reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you want to drive at in Texas?" And at that point, I had just turned 18, so I could just now get my NASCAR license, and it was just too long of a process to do that, get a suit and things like that, to make it happen. But then we talked after that weekend was up and said, hey, we want to do one, we just couldn't do that one. What other ones could we do? What other ones could you use me as a driver for? And we settled on Watkins Glen, obviously, in August, and then as long as everything goes good, we're gonna try to do Charlotte as well, on the Roval. So we're gonna see how this first race goes, but hopefully we can do Charlotte on the Roval as well.
Yeah, so it sounds like you got a lot going on for you. A
Yeah. Yep.
lot of positive things. I'm glad
Yep.
to hear that your career is taking off. But Austin, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on and tell your story to my viewers of Full Throttle. It's been Full Throttle with JP, Justin Butler. Goodbye, everyone.
Oh yeah, thank you.